Part 1. There's a type of exhaustion that doesn't come from overexertion. It comes from fitting into shapes that were never made for you. You know the feeling, the quiet pressure to agree, the sense that everyone else has read the same manual, joined the same club, the one George Carlin talked about, the one most of us aren't in. And if you just went along with it, nodded, complied, life would be easier, quieter, less friction. But here's what I've learned. The path of least resistance is not the path of least regret. The cost of conformity isn't losing your edge, it's losing your signal. Today we're not talking about rebellion, not fighting. We're talking about something quieter, something more dangerous to the old paradigm. We're talking about switching off. Let's begin. Part 2. How conformity manifests. It arrives as a suggestion, a trend. This is what everyone is doing right now. A voice that says if you just followed the formula, you'd finally be safe. And because you're smart and pay attention, you listen. But here's the trap. Conformity is not loud, it's ambient. It's the air you breathe. The algorithm feeding you what it already knows. The quiet assumption that the way things are is the way things have to be. And the most insidious form of conformity is not believing the wrong things. It's stopping believing anything at all. Because a herd doesn't need to convince you. It just needs you to stop asking questions. Part 3. The psychology of originality, pioneering, and uniqueness. Here's what the artists have always known. Originality is not inventing something from nothing. It's combining things that have never been combined before. It's taking what you love, the books, the films, the songs, the people who made you feel less alone, and weaving them into something that could only come from you. Pioneering is not about being first. It's about being willing to look foolish while you figure out what works. And uniqueness is not something you achieve, it's something you stop hiding. The brain that tries to conform is a brain in survival mode, scanning for threats, rejection, and the edge of the herd. But the brain that creates, imagines, innovates, that dares to be out of step, is safe enough to play. And play is where everything new comes from. Part 4. Metaphor. The dead fish and the river. Imagine a river. Most of the fish swim with the current. It's easier. It's safer. They don't have to think about where they go and the river decides. And a dead fish? A dead fish goes with the flow too. That's the line, isn't it? Even a dead fish can go with the flow. But you're not a dead fish. You are the one who sometimes swims against the current. Not because you're angry or trying to prove something, but because something in you knows that the river is not the only direction. Sometimes you swim across the current. Sometimes you rest in an eddy. Sometimes you sit on the bank and watch the river go by without you. That's resistance, it's discernment. The fish that only knows the current never discovers the deep pool. The fish that never leaves the herd never finds the hidden cave. The current is not wrong, but it is not the only truth. And the moment you realize that, the moment you give yourself permission to stop going with the flow, you are no longer in the river, you are in the world. Part 5. Reframe, invitation and pattern interrupt. So here's a different way to think about it. What if the goal wasn't to fit in? What if the goal wasn't even to stand out? What if the goal was to settle into yourself so deeply that the herd stops mattering? Not because you're better than them, because you're different from them. Here's an invitation for the rest of today, just today. What would happen if you switched off? Not the lights, the noise, the notifications, comparisons and voice that says you should be doing it like everyone else. What if you closed the tabs, ignored the metrics, took a walk without a podcast, sat somewhere and let your mind drift, to remember who you are and your preferences? And the playful part, the people who changed things, the ones who made the herd uncomfortable, they didn't start by fighting. They started by paying attention to something the herd had stopped noticing. That something is still there, waiting for you. Part 6. Hypnotic Close. So if it's comfortable, you might let your eyes close, just for a moment. Nothing required here, no conformity, rebellion, or right answer, just permission to let the current pass you by, to stop swimming for a while, to remember that underneath every should, every trend, every voice saying this is just how it is, you're still here, still asking questions, still unwilling to trade your signal for safety. And as you breathe, something might shift. Not because you changed anything, because you stopped trying to go with the flow that was never yours. And in that pause, something that was waiting finally has room to arrive. Slow breath, slow return, and when you're ready, open your eyes.